There are 10 more games on Wednesday, so let's take a look, let's preview it. Who do we stream in for fantasy basketball? Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I actually turned down the role in the Bonds underwear commercial so that Robert Irwin could get it. I thought he needed a bit of a break. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms, so double bang, be an everydayer, do all that sort of stuff, and also head over to lockedondaily.com. Sign up. You're going to get so much information at Locked On Daily with those newsletters for your favorite team. We've also got, which I'll talk about later on, a prize that we're giving away if you sign up for the newsletters in the next couple of weeks. So we'll talk about that later in the show, assuming that I remember. We'll get across to that one. Also, what is it today? It is International ASMR Day. So today... Nah, screw that shit. I can't. That noise, it annoys me and I'm the one saying it. But people love it. And if that's what you love... Hey, go to town. We're here to talk about Wednesday's games. Like I said, there are 10 of them on. This is the second last streaming day, really, of the season. We've got Wednesday and Thursday, because then we go into two 15-game days to end the week, and there are a bunch of teams coming in on a back-to-back across Wednesday, Thursday. There's like 10 teams: Charlotte, Golden State, Washington, Oklahoma City, Orlando, the Clippers, the Bulls, the Lakers, the Suns, the Spurs, and the Celtics. And we're also getting into that situation where teams are sort of locking themselves into their position in the standings. But also, though, there are teams still going to do shenanigans because there are bad teams playing bad teams across this day that is going to change things up, I guess, in terms of how they want to approach these games. Let's take a look at the injuries to start things off. The key statuses we need to be aware of for Wednesday, and we're going to need to watch the Celtics, of course, because it's a back-to-back. They're going to sit players. We don't exactly know who it's going to be. What we know is that Al Horford is out on Tuesday, so I expect that Horford plays on Wednesday. Porzingis, Brown, and Tatum are all questionable on Tuesday, and Derek White and Holiday are probable on Tuesday. So those 5 players, they are going to sit at least one of the next 2 games. I have got really little doubt about that. That there's just no reason that they wouldn't do that. The Celtics sit at 58 and 20, and they honestly can't move. They just cannot move at all because they are 4 games behind Cleveland, and they are 7 games ahead of Houston. So they are just not moving. Don't be surprised if some of these players don't play at all in this back-to-back, and out of their remaining 4 games for the week for Boston, I would expect the core 6 guys to play twice. Maybe once. Probably twice will be my guess. Justin Edwards, it seems like that's a crazy thing to say we're watching the status of Justin Edwards, but we are, because he was taking a lot of shots and playing 35 minutes. He's missed a couple of games in a row, but the important thing here is the Sixers play the Wizards. Now, the Sixers are also relatively locked in at number 5, but they're only 1.5 games clear of the Pelicans in 4, and they are, importantly, 2 games ahead of Brooklyn in 6. Now, they would have to probably win 2 games. Well, they would have to win 2 games for Brooklyn to have any chance, but they don't want to just luckily sneak into one here. Now, their other 2 games are against Atlanta and Chicago, 2 play-in teams, so I think they're pretty safe. But I would think that there is a chance of a Quentin Grimes rest in this game, and Yabusele and Edwards both sitting out. The Wizards are on a back-to-back. Tristan Vukcevic is out for the game on Tuesday. Middleton is out. Holmes is out. Of course, Malcolm Brogdon is out. But Keyshawn George is back. I just don't know what they're going to do here. Like Vukcevic, the big Vuk, he should be available on Wednesday, but they play the Sixers. And why is that important? Well, they are 1.5 games behind the Jazz. They're on 17 wins. The Jazz are on 16. If the Jazz somehow slip themselves into an unexpected win, Washington wants to make sure they're in a position to lose. So I would be incredibly doubtful that Jordan Poole plays. I do think George, even because it is an ankle sprain, I think George will be able to play both games, but I don't think Middleton will be there. I'm not sure about Smart. The Vukcevic one will be interesting to watch. Just expect shenaniganizing. Same in Charlotte, who, again, if we want to talk about their positioning, Charlotte is currently in the 3 spot for the lottery. They are 2.5 games ahead of New Orleans in 4, so that's unlikely to change. And they are 2 games behind Washington. Again, unlikely to change. So they are sort of locked in there. So they don't necessarily need to get aggressive, but it is a back-to-back, and they play Toronto. I don't think that Mark Williams will play on Wednesday. The other one to watch is going to be Miles Bridges, because he popped up today as questionable for Tuesday. Now, normally if it's a late addition with a questionable tag, the player is out. So that looks to me as though Bridges may sit the first game of the back-to-back and play on Wednesday, and Williams do the opposite. And then you've got to see what they do with other guys like Seth Curry and Josh Green. But that's sort of where we're at with those guys. So I expect Williams to be out and for Bridges to play on Wednesday, but Bridges might miss on Tuesday. The Raptors, like Scotty Barnes with his hand issue, he's missed the last couple of games. They are basically locked in at number 7. Barnes is officially listed questionable after missing the last 2 games. Okay, Emmanuel Quickly is returning. Interestingly, RJ Barrett, who's been the on-off legend, is actually off the injury report looking to play 2 games in a row. So I'm not really sure what the idea is, except for this. Is it possible that the Raptors are just playing their guys for the final home game on Wednesday? Because they've done something different. Jacoby Walter is out. Okay, why? No idea. Ochai Agbaji is out. All right. And Jabal Shed is resting. But quickly, Barnes, Barrett, and Pirtle are either listed or not listed at all or questionable. Barnes and Pirtle are questionable, and Quickly and Barrett are off the injury report. Do they just say final home game? I know you guys live in Canada, so you have it really tough all the time, so maybe we'll give you something for the final game, and then they don't play the last 2. Because again, they cannot really move in the standings. They are 4.5 behind Brooklyn for 6 and 3.5 ahead of San Antonio. The problem there is they do play San Antonio in the final game of the season. So if they win this one and they win the next one, that puts them to 31 wins. Still behind San Antonio's 32. But then what if they win that one against Dallas on Friday? Okay. So I actually do think that Toronto here will play all of their guys. Barnes, Quickly, Barrett, Pirtle. I think they will all play on Wednesday and then not play in the other 2 games. But it is a change in their pattern, which we hate. We hate pattern changes when it's been a well-established pattern. For the Lakers, they listed everybody injury or on the injury report for Tuesday. It looks like everybody except Rui Hachimura is going to play on Tuesday, so Hachimura will be out. So out on Tuesday, but in on Wednesday, which means Jackson Hayes' value on Wednesday is down. But I would think against the Mavericks on Wednesday that Luka, Reeves, and LeBron are all gigantic chances to sit. Massive chances. I don't know that, but given they were listed Tuesday, it is a back-to-back. The Lakers are relatively locked into their spot. They sit at 48 wins. It's not a guarantee at all, but if they do happen to knock the Thunder off, those guys are not playing on Wednesday. I feel confident in saying they will not play on Wednesday if they beat the Thunder. The Bulls, they are sitting guys on Tuesday, and then they play Miami on Wednesday. I think all those guys will be available on Wednesday. We don't know yet about Vooch and Giddey for Tuesday, but I think that they will say, okay, we want to get that win to get the 9 spot for the play-in, to get the home revenue, because honestly, that's what we hang the banners for, isn't it? Not a 9-10 play-in game at home. Let's get the revenue. That's what it's all about for Reinsdorf. We know that. We know that's how this team operates. So I think that the Bulls guys will play. Andy Wiggins is listed questionable. Bam's going to play after the 1 game out, so I think Wiggins will be maybe available here. The one that does get a little bit tricky here is Portland. I don't know what they're going to do, obviously. Now, they are in a spot where they are not going to be able to catch San Antonio, but they have the same amount of wins as both Phoenix and Miami. And if they win, and we know that Phoenix or Miami and Chicago play each other, if one of those teams is going to lose, and if it's Miami that loses and Portland wins, then Portland jumps from the 9 spot maybe to 11, which is bad. So I think that Scoot and Grant and Denny and Simons are all going to be out. I obviously do not know this, but they play the Jazz, and they will win unless they go unbelievably hard. And the Jazz are going to go hard too. That honestly could be one of the most disgusting games you've ever seen. And I'm going into this a lot because it is important for us to try and figure stuff out. Because if Portland wins that, they can move from 9 in the lottery to 11 very easily. Because also, if Phoenix loses one more game, that's it. They cannot make the play-in. So Durant will not come back, and they are done. So Phoenix if loses one more game, and if Miami loses to Chicago and Portland beats Utah, all very obvious things that can happen, then Portland will go to 11 instead of 9, which is a complete mismanagement of what they should be doing. Complete. Watch that one. That is absolutely key and could be a disgusting game. Speaking of disgusting, what about Walker Kessler? I don't think he is coming back this season. Utah has a 1-game buffer over the Wizards. If they win a game, they go to 17, the same as Washington. They do not want that. They will not win another game. Although, again, they've got that. That's the Portland game. What the hell is going to happen? I don't think that Malik Monk is going to play for Sacramento. He hurt his calf, left the game on Monday early. Don't think he's playing. Keegan Murray. And I'm working under the assumption that Monk is out. Keegan Murray's missed 2 in a row with a back issue. I think he should be okay. I put Kevin Durant there just for that sake of me telling you that if the Suns lose, they're done. They cannot make the play-in. Durant will not play on Wednesday, and I'm very certain he's done for the season. And honestly, he's done for his time in Phoenix. He's not playing for them ever again. Jeremy Sohan, I don't expect to play for the Spurs. And then the other one is going to be Kawhi Leonard, who is available on Tuesday. And he did play the last back-to-back. But does he play this one? Because the last back-to-back, he only played 50 minutes combined across the 2 games. So what if he has to play 37 minutes or something in Tuesday's game? Will he play the back-to-back? I don't know. At this point, I do have him in for the back-to-back, but I also don't know. We're going to come back and we're going to talk streaming for points leagues and for category leagues. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Taking care of your mental health, it's just as important as taking care of your physical health. Those two things, they link together, like pretty obviously. But actually, you know what? Maybe not obviously. It's not obvious to everybody, but we need to make sure our mental health is in a good spot. Traditional in-person therapy, though, can be expensive, often ranging from $100 to $250 per session. And that is where BetterHelp comes in. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense, saving you time and money. Therapy isn't just for life's toughest moments. It can help with everyday stress, coping strategies, learning how to set boundaries, developing those positive skills that help you not only improve from a bad spot to a better spot, but also go from a neutral spot to a good spot. It's not just about negatives, it's about improving positives. Having access to support when you need it can make a big difference. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today to get 10% off your first month. That is betterhelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. Let's come in now and take a look at the streaming options for points leagues. We'll start with Yahoo points leagues. We'll go on to ESPN points leagues. I went through those injury statuses in quite a bit of depth, obviously, because there's some of those ones that we just don't know yet. But trying to detail the individual motivations for teams and where they sit and what they're going to do can be important. Because not every team at the moment has a burning desire to win. Some have a burning desire to lose. Some of them have a burning desire to protect their players. And understanding the motivations is key. Let's talk Yahoo points. Let's talk about 6 guys with different levels of roster percentages that might be able to work. And I talked about Portland before. So therefore, I don't think that a lot of these guys are playing. Therefore, you get one of the NBA's worst players, Dalano, Banton, to come in and put up big numbers. And he will. He'll put up big numbers. 20 points, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 20% shooting. He'll do it. 38 usage, he'll do it. But you know what? I don't think you care as a fantasy manager whether that makes Portland lose. I don't think you care at all. I don't think you care about Dalano Banton's future long-term in the league. You shouldn't. But you should. And again, these numbers, this projection is based on Scoot, Simons, Grant being out. Avdia, I think I've got him currently questionable. I don't think he plays, but I think he's actually still included in the projections. I've got Bob Carrington there. He's just getting a lot of minutes at the moment. He's starting to look better. We always have skepticism around April and March performances when we're projecting forward for the next season, but it is good to see some improvements here from Bub. And that's what we're talking about right now. Jared Butler, Jeff Doughton, Jalen Hood-Schifino, both two-way point guards for the Sixers, have 2 games each left on their contracts. The Sixers have 3 games left for the season. So I don't know. Doughton has been missing in action for 2 weeks. Does Doughton come back and play one of his games here? I'm not sure. The other one is Alex Reese, who's got 2 games left. And the other one is Colin Castleton on a 10-day, who can also play only the first or the next 2 games before that contract expires. And I guess they could just re-sign him. I do think that Butler has done enough to suggest that you roster him, but he could get limited at any point, and Hood-Schifino and Doughton get the minutes. It's possible. I've got Lonnie Walker there, again, who is bad, but the Sixers could rest guys, including Grimes, and Walker could go out there, take 1,000,000 shots, score 20 points, have 35 fantasy points very easily. AJ Johnson, much like Bob Carrington, is one of the Wizards that they're just giving a lot of minutes to. I'll tell you what's really interesting with the Wizards, and you probably don't feel the same way as me, but like we talk about the Wizards, we talk about Barban's doing this, and Keyshawn George has been great, and look at what AJ Johnson, he's putting up numbers, but remember Bilal Coulibaly? Remember him? Like, I just completely forgot that he was on this team. He had that injury like 4 weeks ago, whatever. He's just out for the season. I just completely forgot he existed. Also, remember, Sadiq Bey is on this roster. Is he going to play? They teased that he was going to come back, and we've heard nothing since. What? Anyway, AJ Johnson, a lot of minutes, plays forward position, gets steals, gets assists, can score a little bit. I don't mind it. And the other one there is Johnny Mobo. Although, I'll say this about Mobo. Yes, they're resting Shed and Jacoby Walters not playing, but if they go all the stars, Mobo's not going to be that good. That was me putting Mobo in there under the expectation that they were still doing the resting of Barrett and that Barnes wouldn't play. But now it looks like they will play, doing the let's maybe try everyone at home trick, which if this happens, just label me Nostradamus. Don't at all. But I do think that they might just be playing them for the home game. We'll see. But anyway, Johnny Mobo's value would not be particularly strong. What about ESPN points? As usual, we're talking about a similar bunch of players, but Dalano Banton's at top. And the next one that comes in there is Keon Ellis. Now, that is not to say that Keon Ellis is not a worthy Yahoo point streamer, but when I do these, I'm trying to hit different roster percentage numbers, like 2 guys who are available for more the shallow leagues, 2 for the standard to intermediates, and then 2 for deeper leagues. And in the Yahoo point system, Ellis didn't qualify for the 2 shallower ones because there was someone else that looked better in that position. Therefore, I didn't include him on that list. He still would be useful if he's available, but I wanted to hit different players. I am working under the assumption that he's going to play 36 or 37 minutes here, and that Malik Monk is out because he left with a calf injury in the last game, so I'm pretty certain that he's not going to be there. And they play their schedule's so hard. Denver, the Clippers, and the Suns. I haven't addressed the Michael Malone firing yet, and the Calvin Booth firing. I might as well do it now because we've just segued into talking about Denver. Firing Calvin Booth, weird timing, but actually totally understandable. What is a general manager doing at this point? They're not making trades. They're not signing free agents. They're not signing two-ways. Not doing anything. In fact, getting a new GM in now to start preparing for a draft, totally, and for the offseason, get it, whatever. Actually, totally okay. That's a reasonable decision. Firing Michael Malone now is insane. And you can tell me that he's lost the locker room or that Jokic wanted him fired, which doesn't seem like the... To me, Jokic is pissed at the teammates or lack of support he gets more than anything, but I don't know. Firing a coach with 4 games left in the season, who's been there 10 years, is a franchise legend, coached them to a title because they've had because Russell Westbrook's pouting. I'm sure that's not the only reason, but it's a crazy... who made the call? Obviously not Booth. Calvin Booth didn't make the call, he got fired. So it's the ownership making the call? I don't understand what actually happened here. I'm sure more stuff will come out about it. And I know some people said, well, that's because they want to make sure that they got a leg up on getting their new coach. They're just promoting Adelman as their... David Adelman, I think his name is. Their assistant to be the head coach. How unlikely is it? It happens sometimes that the assistant coach the assistant coach who becomes the interim, it does happen, just is the guy. Yeah, it happened to Brian Keefe last season. That's cool, but it usually doesn't. They just, thanks my guy, and then we'll go and have an extensive search in the offseason. So I don't really understand it. I don't understand what Denver is doing there, at all. Really, don't really get it in any shape or form. That was me talking about the Kings, and like I said, if Phoenix loses, the Kings are locking themselves into the play-in, along with Dallas as the last 2 spots. I've got Bob Carrington and Lonnie Walker there on the ESPN points list. I've also got Davion Mitchell, who wasn't on the Yahoo one, but he's obviously a pretty good option. He's playing 33, 35 minutes a night. He gets his nice little numbers. He's better suited for the scoring system at ESPN, where you get the assists and steals bump, which is exactly what he does. And the last name we've got on that list is, of course, AJ Johnson in Washington. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about category leagues, the individual categories in the streams we're doing there. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8x the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate is subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year from the first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8x the national average savings account. Interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November the 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. So now we can talk category leagues and streaming, and we'll go through the 8 individual categories here of the guys who do pop up, remembering that things are going to change depending on ins and outs of players. So we'll start by looking at the points category. A lot of the names here obviously correlate with the points league streaming. So we've got Dalano, Banton working under the assumption that Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson and Jeremy Grant are all out, which is a fair enough assumption. If you didn't understand, if you want to hear my rationale behind why guys are in and out, go check out the first 8 to 9 or 10 minutes of the show where I talked about all the injury statuses that we're watching and the individual teams' positioning. Bub Carrington is on that list without really any question. He has been better. I wouldn't say he's been good, but he's had at least more good games and more fantasy relevant games. And I do think that they are going to be, giving him those opportunities to show what he can do, because I'm not sure they're really all that worried about him leading them to wins or anything like that. And then, of course, we have to go to San Antonio to see the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! The Spurs keep playing him a lot of minutes, and he could be a 17-point scorer. He could be a 20-point scorer, or they could play him 20 minutes. I don't really understand the Spurs' plan, where there was a period of time after Wemby went down and when Fox went down where Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes started playing 21 minutes a night, and they were giving more minutes to Champagny and to Keldon, and they just sort of, 30 minutes to Barnes, 30 minutes to Paul, screw the other guys. And I don't really understand what happened there, but it happened, so I'm just telling you what happened. Bryce Sensabaugh, also an option for points. They are probably going to get beaten, and we don't expect that Markkanen's going to play or that Kessler's going to play, and Sensabaugh is starting, but shenanigans can happen there. And the last one I put on that list is tough for me to feel good about, but it's Grayson Allen. He could have a good game. It could be Royce O'Neal. It could be a million different things that happen in Phoenix, but I am going to put Allen there as a points streaming option without feeling any strong level of confidence. For threes, well, Grayson Allen will be on that list as well, but the number one guy I'm going to put there is amazingly Johnny Juzang. That's where we're at in the season where Juzang's a 30-minute-a-night player. Now, if Kessler plays and they, some reason, play Sexton tons of minutes, which they might, maybe Juzang's value's down, but I do think we're going to get 30 minutes a night from Juzang the rest of the season. That might be 4 threes a game from him with 16 points. That's fine. That's good enough, and he is a solid enough option here. Like I said, Allen's on the list. So is Royce O'Neal. I doubt both guys go off at the same time. They're a little bit up and down, but they're going to have opportunities with no Durant. Julian Champagny, Spurs Champagny, could do nothing, but he is a three-point shooter. He could hit 3 of them. He could hit 4 of them. That is what you're trying to get. Lonnie Walker's just going to get a lot of shots, especially, and I don't have this priced in yet, but especially if they do decide to sit Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes, I always screw those up. Quentin and Quentin. I know you might not see the difference, but I do, and it annoys me that I say it wrong. Quentin Grimes might sit in this game, meaning Lonnie gets to do a million things, because they do play a bad team, and that might enable them to just ease off. Now, I believe we've just got an injury update through from them. Let me double check. Yabusele is listed out. Kyle Lowry is listed out. Why did he come back? Grimes is questionable. Of course he is, for back soreness. Yeah, that's shifty. And Justin Edwards is questionable for his rib contusion. They're playing the Wizards. I would expect Grimes with a back soreness to sit. He's played 37, 38, 36, and 38 minutes the last 4 games. The last time that he sat was the time they played the Wizards. Not the Wizards, the Raptors. He's not playing. Quentin Grimes is not playing on Wednesday. That is not confirmed. That is me talking straight from down under. But there's no way he's playing. Come on, let's be serious. Quentin Grimes isn't playing. Bryce Sensabaugh also on the list for 3-point streaming. What about assists? options are aplenty. AJ Johnson, Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell. In Denver, I do not think that the headmaster Jamal Murray is playing. Therefore, Jalen Pickett started. It's not Westbrook. Now, does Adelman do something different? Does he give in to Russell Westbrook, one of the NBA's more damaging players of the last 3 weeks? Maybe. He could. He possibly could do that. But I still think Pickett is worth a look. I've got Dalano, Banton there, and KJ Simpson. Pickett is the one that I'm least confident in. The most confident I am in is Mitchell and Simpson, but varying levels with all those players. If we go to steals, a lot of those names will double up there. We go to Matisse Thybulle in Portland. If we see guys like Avdia and Simons and Scoot out, he'll start. He'll play 27 minutes. He's got 5 steal upside. It's really easy. KJ Simpson's a very good steals guy. And the next one we look at is the package, Jaden Springer. He's been playing like 15 to 17 minutes in the last couple of games for the Jazz. And if they keep him playing those minutes, 3 steals and 2 blocks, absolutely possible. And out of a point guard, you love it. He could also play 0, but I like the spot there. Alex Caruso is a little risky as well because it is a back-to-back for the Thunder and they are absolutely locked in. I believe they cannot move if I check the standings. I don't think they can move from their spot. They can actually. They're at 64 wins. The Cavs are at 62. So theoretically, they can't lose number 1 in the West, but they could lose home court advantage in the finals to Cleveland, maybe. Yeah. So maybe. We'll see what happens to them on Wednesday. On Tuesday, actually. But I think Caruso probably has a chance of sitting here. Colin Gillespie is maybe a 1 to 2 steals guy in 19 minutes who's available everywhere in Phoenix. And then the last one there is Davion Mitchell, where you feel much better about his floor value because he's playing 33 a night. Just wait till he gets spode, though. For free throw percentage, Jared Butler comes in as a pretty good free throw shooter. Bryce Sensabaugh, Nick Smith Jr. in Charlotte, Grayson Allen, Julian Champagny, and then Richard Council. Now, if Justin Edwards does play, there is a chance that Council does not play. Although, with Yabusele out, it does mean there's some minutes available for. Now, before you ask, and you've probably already asked in the chat or in the comments, Josh, why haven't you talked about Boner? Well, that's private, but also, Boner is above the roster percentage that I usually talk about, and I just assumed he's been added everywhere. And he should be. We've banged on about this for weeks. Maybe not weeks, let's say week, 10 days, at least. So I've got to have a cutoff somewhere, but let's just do this as our who wants a random Boner minute? I'm just waiting to hear if I can hear from a different room. No. Who wants Boner? Roster him. Done. Easy. But he doesn't count in my streaming because his roster percentage is above the cutoff that I use. Shall we look at big men? Rebounds. I am expecting that Mark Williams does not play. So Yusuf Nurkic is there. I've got Wendell Carter Jr. I'm going to go with Steve Adams. I'm going to go with Justin Champagny. That's Wizard Champagny. Very good rebounder. Bismack Biyombo, no Sohan. And Oso Iguodaro. You could also include league-winning legend BDNR. LWL BDNR. He could be an option for you as well. He's dropped down to 64% on our advanced roster percentage metric, meaning that obviously someone's dropping him, so therefore maybe you can add him. If you go to blocks, there's an unbelievably random name on this list, and we'll talk about it in a sec, but I've got Derek Lively at the top, and yes, Daniel Gafford would be an option for you. But he is at the 72% rostered. Therefore, I'm not including him because I'm using a 65% cutoff. I'm looking at they've updated the injury report. So he's back, Gafford, and Jaden Hardy is out. They made the decision as well that they are going to sign Brandon Williams to their convert his contract. Now, he still will not play on Wednesday, Brandon Williams. They cannot convert him until after that, on the 10th of April, which is Thursday, and that means that Brandon Williams will be available to play Friday and Sunday for the Mavs. It also means that this game, Wednesday, is Kai Jones's final game. And he may or may not even play. If he doesn't play in this one, Jones, if they don't have him active, he can play on the other two, but he's going to have one left, Kai Jones, and that is it for him. So just be aware of that. That is going to be the final game for him. I was looking at the Mavs injury report. What is going on here? Dante Exum is listed as questionable. Didn't they rule him out for the season? What is actually happening? I need to check it. What the hell is this? Oh, and on Kai Jones, actually, I'll get back to this Exum thing in a sec. They've actually put Jones is out. So he is out and he's ruled inactive. So he will play. He's got one game left for the final 2 days, Kai Jones. So he will not play in this one. So that's just something to pay attention to. Anyway, Derek Lively at the top of the block. Dante Exum, I swear to God, he was like, he's done for the year. All right, and now he's back? All right, whatever. Shout out to Dallas injury reporting. Grade 3 for Daniel Gafford back in 5 weeks. Yeah? Derek Lively, Bismack Biyombo, Peyton Watson, Oso Iguodaro, Luke Cornett, with the assumption that Porzingis and maybe Horford are out. And then in Cleveland, JT Thor, the god of hammers, because I think they're going to rest players. And the Cavs have got a back-to-back. Mitchell is out on Tuesday. What am I talking about? JT Thor does not play. He doesn't play for the Cavs. He did play for the Cavs. My bad. That is on me. Forget the Cavs. He plays for the Wizards now. That's better. And he's played like on and off, 24 minutes, 0, 26 minutes, 0, 22 minutes. I think there's a chance that he plays again, especially with the chance that Tristan Vukcevic does not play. So JT Thor is a decent enough shot blocking option. And lastly, we go to field goal percentage. Derek Lively, Luke Cornett, Moussa Diabate, expecting Williams to be out. Jackson Hayes, even though Hachimura is in. Osa Iguodaro, and Bismack Biyombo. And that was a weird day, a weird preview. We're going to be back with a Tuesday recap show later in the day after the game's finished. It's probably the best time to do the recaps, I would say. So we'll do that. Hit the thumb on the video. Check out the newsletter. And I better tell you what those prizes are. If you sign up for one of our newsletters between April the 7th and April the 30th, there are 3 prizes given away to a new subscriber. A $2,500 Best Buy gift card, a $300 Game Time gift card to buy tickets to your favorite sporting events, or a $200 Fanatics gift card. So, out of everyone who signs up in the next 3 weeks to our NBA newsletters at lockedondaily.com, there are 3 prizes: $2,500 Best Buy gift card, $300 Game Time gift card, and $200 Fanatics gift card. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.